Hello, this is Grant. Welcome back to another episode of Dead Rising 2 Master Run. So this is going to be a pretty simple episode, kind of short actually. We got to get these two guys back to the safe house, and then we are going to prep for the one-hit wonder scoop. We need to get a tuxedo on. We're going to kill one of the snipers, and then also going to do the shell-shocked scoop. So what I started doing originally here, if you recall, before I lost the painting, is I figured that I would leave the area, come back in, respawn all the food that's immediately outside there, heal myself and Randolph if he needs any, and then I'd be good to go. And that's ultimately what screwed me over the painting, because I was like, oh, quick, I'll just pop in and out. I'll be fine. And it wasn't fine. I'm really ashamed I did not get that painting, but it is completely gone now. Luckily, this food magazine I still have helps immensely. It does turn these into it turns the drink from 1 block into 2 blocks healed. It turns the hot dog into 2 to 4. It makes doing stuff like this a lot simpler. Otherwise, like coming back here, I'd be like 3 blocks of health. I'd probably still do it, but it's just like not worth the time. I like how that book lets you scavenge. Although I feel like most of those basics I've covered, like the basics of this game, I feel like I've covered pretty well at this point. So I'm really excited to start getting into toward the end of the game where you can talk a little bit about story. It'll be fun to get to the overtime episodes. One thing that was kind of interesting is that I believe I ended up with 35 episodes for this series, as well as 35 episodes for Dead Rising 1's series. Which is curious, because I guess that kind of means the games are pretty similar length when you run them like this. I guess, to be fair, they should literally be the same length. They're both 6 hours long, plus overtime. So I guess that shouldn't be too surprising. But I was counting overtime mode as well. But that's pretty much the episodes 30 through 35. Probably less so in this game. Overtime mode's really short. And honestly, I would consider kind of pointless. Overtime mode's actually not canon in this game. So, which I don't fully know how it fits in. Like, what's interesting is I don't know what the whether or not you giving TK Zombrex is canon or not, but that is a requirement for overtime. So it raises some interesting little questions. And really, I feel like they just put overtime mode in just because, oh, last game had it. But it is what it is. One of my first, I believe when I do overtime in this run, it's only my second time doing it ever. So that was kind of cool because you have some pretty important requirements to get it in this game, whereas in the other game it was part of the story. So. This way. I'm still really concerned about Woodrow here. Like, he's just like one zombie mob away from completely dying. Like, he's got a little bit of health, but usually if he gets in a swarm, I just can't clear it fast enough without hurting him. And that's what would really do me in, is the fact that without a queen, I can't save him. I keep saying, like, every time I play this game, or Dead Rising 1, that, this is the one where I'm going to actually make a point to save my queens. But I never do. Never do. Always bites me in the ass. One day, I'll be good at this game. Even after I do this giant run where I do everything in the game in one area. Or in one run. Still not good at the game. In my mind. I'm thinking of doing, right now I'm in the process of filming a Dead Rising 1 run with no zombie kills. And it is horrendous. It is extremely difficult. I'm getting by, but still, dang. This game is a lot tougher when you're not trying to kill zombies. And I thought about, should I do one in this game? And I felt that it would be much tougher in this game. Because there's so many scoops where it's like, rescue the survivor from this mob. Well, I can't do that. So, oh well, I guess. One thing that I do struggle with in the case of that is I want to make the run relevant. You could just sit. Technically, if your goal is just to finish the game, you could just sit on the helicopter pad for 72 hours and you did it. No zombie kills, but really that's not the point, is it? But overall, it's pretty fun. It's been interesting doing some of the different scoops. Like, just like it completely changes your mindset when you have to actively run around zombies. And I'm terrified of zombies because if they grab me, you pretty much always kill a zombie when you get grabbed and you push it off. Especially in this game because you have these passive abilities you unlock for getting them off faster. And inevitably, it's always like you flip them over and bust their head open, and it's a guaranteed kill. Well, I don't want that. So that essentially means I'm running around with one life block. Which, that is very difficult. That being said, I'll go fight psychopaths, and it's like finally something easy, and I just plow through them because, like, I just carry around a bunch of guns and food because without killing zombies, I don't need any other weapons besides psychopath weapons. Which, and plus, like I said, I went through and killed all the psychopaths just recently, so makes it pretty easy. So we're gonna head out and do some more simple scoops. It seems like it's been a long time. The story's really progressed. So here I'm just gonna pick up some health. Get all set up here. One of the things I always mean to do is use the juices more effectively. Particularly in 1, because in this game it seems like the blenders are not... They're never really around when you need them. What's important is, I guess the way I would describe it is you have certain like runs or like pathing you need to make to do this game effectively. And if you can find like a good blender on your path out or a good items on your path out, that's what really makes it the most effective for you. Like in 1, it's very easy to divert to the second floor of Paradise Plaza to like use that blender and get a bunch of orange juice. Or in this game, it's pretty easy to divert to the man sport and get a bunch of those like nail gloves or knife gloves, depending on your choice. But here, it's too bad. I also was looking for like an ATM so I could farm money. I feel like until like a lot more happens in this game, I feel like I covered it. Dead Rising 2 is pretty simple and straightforward. Like they give you so much more, like so many more options in this game that if you know what you're doing, it's pretty simple. So I'm kind of wishing I like messed around more in this run. Like I definitely did that in 1 because I had more free time. Particularly like in 1, you would just like on the first day, I'd get everyone in, done, and be like, oh, I have 4 hours until the next scoop. I guess I'll just go mess around in the park. Which I think that says some good things about the game, that I played a lot of it, and still I can go have some kind of fun in it. Fortunately, there's these snipers still around, which are annoying. But a lot of the times, like I'd like to go deal with them, but they're kind of out of the way because they're like meant to be dispersed around the park. Usually, if I'm just playing through it like casually, which I've only done a couple times, normally I would just kill the ones that are like immediately a problem. Honestly, like I kind of get why they put them in, but it seems as if like the convicts in the first game and these guys, they're really only there to make your life harder. And I think that's the point. Like I think the point is to have a threat to like kind of up the level of the game, where either you need to go deal with these guys, which is tough, or slightly less tough, just at least learn to avoid them. Because really, in this game, you could just totally go completely around and never go in the strip ever. But that'd be a huge pain. I mean, it'd be kind of cool. I'm really curious what like the average player does to deal with like certain different... Like, tell me how you deal with most of the situations of the game, because like I would not be surprised if most people just like avoid them Or like if you don't have to do every scoop and you have a bunch more time, it'd be really easy just to be like, oh, they're here? Fine, I can go kill them right now. I would really like, I think one thing I maybe might like for a difficulty increase is I'd like kind of like a realism mode for Dead Rising. I think that could be really interesting. Kind of like what they did, I think, in Left 4 Dead 2, where they made damage a lot simpler and they didn't just like artificially scale values, but it was stuff like made headshots a lot more important and made it where you didn't get like certain graphical UI elements. So in this case, I would like, hey, give me less health, but also give everyone else less health, and maybe make zombies very tanky unless you get headshots, something like that. Because it feels like here, like he's missing me. I'm just sitting there firing in his face. And it's like, come on. Which, I mean, I'm fine with that mode, but I would love to choose for like a more simple, like slower, methodical style as well. I think that could be very fitting. Like one where you have to you have to calculate your route through zombies, plan like, okay, I gotta get these weapons. I can only save so many people realistically, so who do I want to hit? I think that could really fit Dead Rising. I think Dead Rising 3 has like a nightmare mode, which is supposed to be pretty tough, but my big concern is like, how do they handle like the difficulty? Which, I never used to think of a difficulty as like a gray area. I thought it was pretty simple. It's like, this game is easy, this game is hard. And it's like, oh, how much you die is basically kind of like how hard it is. But when I started playing Dark Souls, it opened to a lot of discussion I had with like other people about like how difficulty doesn't need to be bad. Like, it doesn't need to be like repetitive or terrible. And it also opened up this idea of like just this concept of artificial difficulty, where if you ever played like Dark Souls, like the difficulty is in like you have to learn enemy patterns, you gotta do like all these dodges, you have patterns you need to learn. I think I said patterns twice. You need like weaknesses, strengths, and in a way that actually ends up being all very good difficulty, because that is the game really, like, is learning and like outsmarting your enemies. Whereas then you have this situation where like an artificial difficulty would be more of like, oh, you're going to fight the same boss, and we want to make this boss harder, so just make his attacks hit twice as hard. In a way, the boss is harder, but you're not generating like any more content. Whereas if you're going to make a boss harder because his AI is better, or he reacts to different stimuli, or he has more attacks to choose from, so it's hard to understand what he's going to do, or predict him, or get him stuck in loops. That's like good difficulty, because that's like actual content you're, as a player, can overcome. Versus the other way, like if you're just like changing the values, you're just really like shortening or closing the window that the player has to do something successfully. And that's not as fun, because that just like encourages, oh, just die, repeat until you get the one perfect situation, and then you get out there. And I think Dead Rising's psychopaths kind of struggle on that line, where they have, on one, they have like really cool writing, they have really cool moves, ideas, all that, but then they also have stuff where, oh, if you get in the wrong situation accidentally, they're gonna, even if you're level 50, they're gonna combo you down to 0 health and die, and you're just dead. Like, you have no chance of getting out. And that kind of sucks. Like, I knew I had run into a situation like in Dead Rising 1 with Isabel on the motorcycle, where she got me stuck somewhere, and like she got stuck as well. So she just, quote unquote, like sat on top of me with the motorcycle. Well, as soon as you stand up, you instantly take damage, get knocked down. And I went from full health and just got killed slowly. Couldn't do anything. It's like, that's a terrible case of difficulty. But then they also have great stuff like lore reasons that tell you how to fight certain like psychopaths, or how you can use the environment or any weapons in the game. That's really cool, actually, in my mind. So, I don't know, like, I would love to see a more difficult Dead Rising, but I feel like how they did it, I'm guessing, in 3 with Nightmare Mode, is that they just everyone hits really hard right now. Or maybe you have a bunch of arbitrary limits where you just can't carry as much. In which case, yes, the game is harder, but it's not harder in a fun way. And that's something like I said. Every game I play, I try to take something from, either just like thematically, skill-wise, like really depends. Like, I always think of like when Borderlands, which is really big on like critical hits, until I played Borderlands, like, I must have, like, just sucked at, like, aiming in FPSs. Because you would have, if you're familiar with Borderlands, you have, like, a psycho, which is, like, a dude with an axe. Just, like, sprinting at you, and you got to hit him in the head, and he's, like, waving it everywhere. And I was like, when I first played, I'm like, how could someone realistically do that? And now it's like, oh, that's one of the easier enemies. So I have, like, that. Or looking at, like, let's say with Dark Souls, like, thematically, I'm like, oh, I understand more, like, because I play this game. And it's an important thing I, like, try to take away with different things. Like, with Dead Rising, for me, for this game, is really just very measured, controlled planning. And I think that's what I took away the most. You'll notice here, I popped over here just to get this right here, the tuxedo. No, I actually enjoy wearing the tuxedo anyway, so it actually works. It fits that I can put it on anyway. I had to take it off again for the slave to fashion where you have to be in your underwear, which I hate the fact that they have scoops that you are required to wear certain things. I think that's stupid. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, check out one of the links below. Till next time, don't take your zombie safety for granted.